Many times, lost media gets found through online collaboration and investigation. But every so often, the trail can go cold, forcing the search toward the unlikeliest of places. The Gothic horror classic Le Phantom der Oper by French author Gaston Leroux was first published in segments through the French tabloid Le Gaulois, beginning in 1909. By 1910, it would be published in its entirety in book form. Set in 19th century Paris, France, the story centers on an opera house haunted by a masked entity. Although never referred to it in the book, this entity is of course the Phantom himself. Born with a facial deformity, his parents abandoned him as a child, and he would find himself inducted into a circus's freak show exhibit. As an adult, and when the main plot takes place, he lives with a profound hatred for society. To hide his appearance from the outside world, he dons a mask and dwells in secret beneath an opera house. Despite all this, he falls in love with Christine Daae, a young and aspiring opera singer. While attempting to win her affections through nefarious means, Christine's childhood friend, Raoul Deschagny, arrives threatening the Phantom's plans. In the desperate pursuit of love and success, the Phantom resorts to blackmail and murder to eliminate anyone who gets in his way. Although considered a revered piece of literature by many today, Leroux's story did not find immediate success. The Phantom of the Opera was not favored by readers at the time, especially those who were familiar with Leroux's generally more well-liked work. Much of its fame would stem from its various adaptations to other forms of media. The book's inclusion of inherently dark themes, a sympathetic antagonist, and an elegant setting created a perfect template to be reworked and updated into a timeless story. Its mix of fantasy and realistic fiction lends another layer of interest by spawning the urban legend surrounding the real Parisian opera house of which it was based, the Palais Garnier. Regardless, between the time of its initial publication to the present, Leroux's original tale would be adapted dozens of times, some of which reached worldwide commercial success. Of the most well-known iterations is the silent black and white film The Phantom of the Opera, released in 1925. From director Rupert Julian, the on-screen face reveal of its titular character was the work of American actor Lon Chaney. Chaney not only performed as the Phantom, but was also responsible for the revolutionary special effects makeup that terrified audiences. In the last 50 years, other versions include Andrew Lloyd Webber's 1986 musical, which originated the character's unmistakable theme song. Everything from the music, set direction, and creative edits to the source material only accentuate every aspect that makes the story so appealing, which is exactly why a sequel to this legendary stage production has never been considered or written ever and doesn't exist at all. Being the longest-running show in Broadway's history, it would later warrant a 2004 cinematic release starring Gerard Butler as the Phantom, and of course, features Lloyd Webber's iconic soundtrack. Minnie Driver, Emmy Rossum, and Patrick Wilson are some of the other members of this movie's star-studded cast. But, like many fans of the musical, I had always thought The Phantom of the Opera from 1925 was the first film adaptation ever made. After all, it is considered a classic of early American cinema. Oftentimes dubbed the first or original Phantom, it's more than easy to fall into this misconception. While Lon Chaney's version was the first to popularize The Phantom of the Opera, the first film adaptation ever made came from Germany. Das Gespenst im Operhaus, meaning Ghost in the Opera House, was released in 1916. It is also known as the more direct translation Das Phantom der Oper, which is the title that will be used throughout the video, or Das Phantom for short. Practically nothing about the film is known other than a few vague logistical details provided by wiki pages and IMDb. Reportedly composed of 1,381 meters of film, or 76 minutes in runtime, Das Phantom was produced sometime around 1915 to 1916. The project was led by Hungarian director Ernst Matre, who also acted in the film. The script was written by Greta Schroeder, a German actress best known for her starring role in Nosferatu. She was also married to Matre at the time of Das Phantom's production. The rest of the cast includes Swedish actor Niels Olaf Krisander as the Phantom and Norwegian actress Aud Eged Nissen as his love interest Christine. Other facts about the film vary across different sources. For instance, the film's director did play some type of role in it, as stated previously. According to Wikipedia, his role is listed as Raoul, while IMDb states that he played the Persian, a different character also present in the source material. Discrepancies like these are expected considering the sheer absence of information about the film. Additionally, much of the information that is available online leads to defunct websites or lacks a citation altogether. For instance, this sentence, "Now a lost film, it is only known to have existed because of references to it in other media," can be found on Wikipedia's list of adaptations of the Phantom of the Opera, with no direct way of knowing what other media it is referring to. Other mentions of the film from around the web end up using the same or similar description, creating an overarching network of circular reporting. This deficiency of evidence only muddies the answer to whether or not this film truly existed. If it did, why isn't there any proof to show for it? An explanation may lie in Germany's history and the time in which Das Phantom der Oper would have been created. As the filmmaking medium was rising to prevalence, Germany began cracking down on media censorship even during the years leading up to World War I, which started in 1914. On the 5th of May 1906, film censorship was introduced for the first time in the jurisdiction of Berlin. As in all other German states which introduced it, film censorship was treated the same as the censorship of the press. It's entirely possible Das Phantom der Oper had not been approved by the censor and therefore was never officially released. This would explain why no promotional material had ever been recovered. There's also a chance production had been halted before completion and a final product never came to fruition. Of course, any theory I'm able to come up with using the given information is pure speculation. While doing the research for this video, my limitations when it came to understanding non-English sources, as well as general knowledge of German history and culture, eventually caught up to me. I found myself at a roadblock with no way of knowing the next place to look. Without a basic starting point, I was just about ready to give up. That is, until I came upon this. On October 11th, 2006, a user named The Brain Follower created a thread on the classic horror film board. Under the domain known as Tapatalk, the subject line read, "Phantom of the Opera 1916 question." They start by saying, "Don't ask me where, but I seem to recall reading that Gaston Leroux was a technical advisor for the 1916 Das Phantom der Oper production." IMDb lists some scant plot details which indicate the love story was removed for the Phantom using Christine to destroy the men who caused his disfigurement. Where did this information come from? Are there any contemporary reviews of this project? 3 days later, on October 14th, 2006, user H. Nicolella would respond to the Brain Follower with details regarding the production company behind the film. Small film companies in Germany were notoriously lax about paying royalties to foreign authors. Nosferatu is the most famous case. Greenbaum Film, which produced this Phantom, was started by Josef Greenbaum. Josef Greenbaum is most likely meant to be Jules or Julius Greenbaum, a pioneer in the film industry who founded multiple German production companies. Jules and his son, Mutz Greenbaum, are accredited as Das Phantom's producer and cinematographer respectively on IMDb. The post goes on to address Leroux's rumored involvement with the film, pointing out the minimal chances of collaboration between a German production company and a French author during World War I. They end their reply by noting the film is mentioned in a few German reference books, but do not name which ones. Finally, they provide a censorship date in March 1916. Even with this new information, some other users continue to question the film's actual existence, likening it to an urban myth, as any primary sources to support these details had yet to surface. Activity on the thread would die down and no new replies would be posted for a year and a half. Then on June 22, 2008, a user by the name of Dr. Kiss would post their first reply. Little did anyone know this particular user would be the key to figuring out the history of Das Phantom der Oper. Their first post states, "A film titled Das Phantom der Oper was certainly released in 1916. It was announced in the trade press in winter 1915 and passed by the censor in March 1916 as a 4-act feature over 5 reels, with an overall length of 1,381 meters. This corroborates the censorship date that H. Nicolella had mentioned before, but again, a specific source is not given. Unfortunately, I was not able to verify the film's censorship date through a primary record. However, the other preliminary information given by Dr. Kiss formed the basis for further investigation into German trade journals. This article about German censorship cites the trade journal Lichtbildbühne, which was the first film journal ever published in Germany. While first looking through the issues published in the winter of 1915, there were no mentions of the film. Hours into scouring editions printed before and after the winter of 1915, my search finally paid off. The February 1916 issue of Lichtbildbühne contains not one, but two mentions of Das Phantom der Oper. One is a full-page promotional poster for the film. It features the names of Ernst Matre, Egid Nielsen, and Niels Chrysander, as well as Greenbaum Films' official logo. A second full-page advertisement can be found in the journal's March 1916 issue, along with 5 separate mentions in the text. These pieces of evidence undoubtedly confirm Das Phantom der Oper was completed and headed for release in 1916. The plot of Das Phantom was not described in any of the issues I saw. Some theories in the discussion thread explain that Greenbaum Film was known to create very loose adaptations of other media, by retaining the title but holding little resemblance to the plot. That's where Dr. Kiss's remaining posts come in. Between September 18, 2013 and August 21, 2014, Dr. Kiss would create 4 more replies. This user had researched, translated, and presented a small but vital collection of primarily sourced documents. By the end, they had spent a total of 6 years and 60 days invested in uncovering this lost film. The first document was posted on September 18, 2013, over 5 years since Dr. Kiss's first reply. They write, "It's finally possible to come up with a contemporary synopsis of this Phantom of the Opera, which indeed sounds more Leroux-inspired than I had previously imagined might be the case. The synopsis is from the Austrian trade publication Paimon's Filmlisten, number 19, on May 4, 1916. Paimon's Filmlisten, which translates to Paimon's Film Lists, announced all newly released films at the time. The article gives a very brief summary and review. All of the main characters are indeed featured in it, as are the main plot points from the original story." The review concludes by complimenting the film's subject matter, photography, acting, and sets. As if this wasn't an already incredible discovery, Dr. Kiss would post a follow-up with 3 more documents on March 30th, 2014. It reads, "I've yet to turn up any stills, but the above capsule review in Paimon's Filmlisten did recently lead me to a second Austrian source containing far more detailed information about the film than any of the contemporaneous German trades. That review followed a single trade screening of the movie in Vienna. The Austrian rights were acquired by the distributor Philipp and Pressburger, who wouldn't in fact go on to release the movie until February 9, 1917. The second release date of February of 1917 coincides with the persistent listings of Das Phantom from February of 1916 to over halfway through 1917 in July. It's even named among the top best-selling films of the 1916/17 season." The post continues with promotional material published by Neueste Nachrichten von Philipp and Pressburger on December 3rd and 10th, 1916. It is accompanied by a 1,000-word plot synopsis found in the Austrian trade journal Kinematographische Rundschau, number 427, published on May 14, 1916. Ironically, the article starts by commenting on the film's originality as a result of its fantastic and mysterious subject. On August 21, 2014, Dr. Kiss posted their 4th and final reply, writing, "A couple of newly uncovered tidbits about this previously utterly elusive movie. 3 full weeks before its Austrian trade screening, Das Phantom der Oper had opened to the public in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, on April 14, 1916, at the Union Cinema on Heiligweg, where it played until April 21st. Under the Dutch title, Het Spook in de Opera, it was openly acknowledged as an adaptation of Gaston Leroux. This can be seen here in these Dutch advertisements of the film." The post continues. The movie went on to be exhibited widely throughout the Netherlands, with its last recorded showings taking place during October 1917. The ready acknowledgement of the film as an adaptation of Leroux may very well have been unique to the Dutch release. Throughout the thread, various users responded to Dr. Kiss's updates, commending their hard work and dedication, as it should be. This person had no reason to continue searching for and sharing everything that they did. The payoff allowed people like me and others interested in lost media to satisfy their curiosity, making Dr. Kiss's efforts above admirable. The circumstances surrounding Das Phantom der Oper's conception were less than ideal, to say the least. As an unofficial reproduction of Gaston Leroux's novel released during the early years of a world war, it introduced many to the story for the first time. Although it appears to have been well received, its audience was limited and couldn't benefit from the renowned fame the Phantom of the Opera would later amass. Greenbaum Film would be shut down by 1932, leaving the fate of the film little choice but to fade into obscurity. Maybe someday the film itself will be rediscovered and join the collection of Phantom adaptations. Until then, the evidence that has been found comes close to painting a picture of the film that once was.